So now in this problem, we're asked to graph an ellipse by translation. So essentially what that means is let's find if it were centered at the origin, what it looks like, and then let's move it based on the fact that the center moves. All of the other points are going to move in the same way that the center does. So let's look at our A and B. So again, remember we're looking at the form x minus h squared over a squared plus y minus k squared over b squared equals 1. The a and b are going to be the same regardless of where the center is. In this case, the center is at hk, so 5, negative 4. Because we're subtracting 5 and we're subtracting negative 4 or adding 4. Y plus 4 is the same thing as y minus negative 4. And then everything else will come from there. So let's just look at if we were centered at the origin, what would this be? A squared equals 9. So A equals 3. So we're centered at 0, 0. Let's say A is 3. So now we're going to go plus and minus 3 since that's under X in the horizontal direction. So we'll go ahead and plot those points. And notice how this center has shifted from 0, 0 to 5, negative 4. So that's going to give us the points negative 3, 0. Again, if it were centered at the origin. And 3, 0. And like I just said, if we look at the center in comparison to those, the center is at 5, negative 4 compared to 0, 0. So with the ellipse centered at the origin, we're at 0, 0, and we're at negative 3, 0, and 3, 0. And with our current ellipse, we're at 5, negative 4. So we're going 5 in the x direction and negative 4 in the y direction. So negative 3 plus 5 is 2. 0 minus 4 is negative 4. 3 plus 5 is 8. And 0 minus 4 again is negative 4. So we know we're going to have a point at 2, negative 4, and we're going to have a point at 8, negative 4. So we'll go ahead and plot those. So now we can see how that major axis has shifted. Now, but what about our b squared, our minor axis? If we're centered at 0, 0, b squared equals 4, and that's for both of these. So b equals 2. So we're going to go plus and minus 2 in the vertical direction. If we were centered at the origin, we would go up 2 and down 2, which means those vertices are going to be at 0, negative 2, and 0, 2. We'll go ahead and plot those, and then we can draw in our ellipse. This is what it would look like if it were centered at the origin. And again, this is what we're translating. Now for our ellipse that's centered at 5, negative 4, we're going to shift the same direction. 0 plus 5 is 5. Negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6. Same thing with the other point. 0 plus 5 is 5. And 2 minus 4 is negative 2. So we can plot those two vertices as well. 5, negative 6. And 5, negative 2. And then we can go ahead and connect the dots to graph our translated ellipse. We took our ellipse where a squared is 9 and b squared is 4, centered at the origin, and we moved it 5 to the right and 4 down in order to get the graph of x minus 5 squared over 9 plus y plus 4 squared over 4 equals 1. So essentially, again, what we did was we translated x squared over 9 plus y squared over 4 equals 1. We translated that 5 units to the right and 4 units down. And that's what it means to graph an ellipse by translation. We were originally at 0, 0 for the center. We went to 5, negative 4. And then we also shifted our vertices in the same exact way. 5 units to the right and 4 units down to graph our translated ellipse.